Yes, so I'll start. Hello, everyone. We're Group 4, and today we're also discussing Ping An. And of time, and given the excellent outlines that we've already had from other groups, I'll skip over the who Ping An are. I think everyone's aware at this point of who Ping An are. So I'll go straight on to the first question, which is how we can understand the benefits of Ping An's offering by looking at a classical customer journey of a patient during a doctor's visit. And then we'll go on to describe how this is different in a digital AI-based customer journey with Ping An. And so if we move on to the next slide, as I'm sure everyone's aware, the classical customer journey is a very unspecific ordeal. Someone begins to feel some symptoms or simply want a checkup, and you begin to make a personal diagnosis based on your own very unexpert knowledge or discussions with other loved ones or even on the internet. Of course, that results in wildly incorrect diagnoses, based on which the customer then decides which type of doctor and exactly which doctor to call. Then they go either online or look in a telephone book and select the doctor, call up and make an appointment. Then once you reach the doctor for the appointment, you inevitably wait for your appointment as the doctor is running behind. Whilst you wait, you fill out all the personal detail forms if it's a new surgery before you can even see the doctor. Inevitably, this new doctor will not have access to all of your complete health history, and they're relying on your answers here, which can also be unreliable for influencing their diagnosis decisions. Once you eventually get to see the doctor, there's no guarantee that you've chosen the correct one, and you may need to be referred on to another and make a new appointment, and then you start the whole process again. Also, the doctor may need to perform tests, such as blood tests, which again take a while to return, and when they do return, you have to start essentially the process again, make a new appointment and then come back. If by chance the doctor you saw was correct and they were able to make a diagnosis, then you made your treatment plan, including any medicine that you must take, then you must go and collect that and take that of your own accord. As we all know, this can be a rather painful process and there are many inefficiencies therein. So what if we consider a much more digital-based patient journey? Thanh Thuy will discuss this.
Thank you, Jacob. And now we move on to the second part of the question 1 to describe the customer touch points in the digital and AI-based customer journey with Ping An. So as Jacob already mentioned, and as you can see on the left side of this slide, in the traditional model, patients had to go through a long journey, encounter a complicated clinical workflow with a long waiting times and multiple investigations and interaction with different providers before being diagnosed and given a treatment plan. So when digitalization applied to the healthcare patient experience, the direct models of contact such as teleconsultation, telehealth, or methods of measurement and reporting are developed. So this customer journey involves dozens of digital touchpoints from the moment symptoms develop until the end of the treatment. So in the AI-based customer journey with Ping An, firstly, we have the diagnosis stage where someone realizes they or someone they care for needs medical help. They will need to look into the app, access to the dedicated Ping An family doctor, where some communication options like chat or video call are available for them to communicate with doctor. They will then go progress to the post diagnosis stage of the journey. This is where the patient is actively seeking the healthcare providers or specialists who can help with their condition and general advice online. Then a family doctor will make an appointment for the patient at the nearest hospital, or where Ping An hospital advisor will escort them through the medical treatment. So, and then post-treatment refers to the point where treatment had concluded and ongoing care or maybe ongoing care has been settled down into. So at this stage, the patient will connect with their doctor on the app for follow-ups, and then they may receive the medicines delivered to their home through the cooperating pharmacies. So this is all the characteristic for the AI-based customer journey of Ping An. So I will leave for Anna to explain the question 2.
All right, so as we've seen from the other groups, question 2 was identifying the options to make the digital touch points exclusive with IP and how we could use lock-in effects as well. So what we did is, again, looking at the different stages that Thanh Thuy was talking about, the initial access and the diagnosis, the post-diagnosis, and then the post-treatment phases. And for each of those phases or stages, and at each step, we looked at what were the ways that we could exclusify and block competitors from the process. So in the initial access diagnosis phase, we started with how do patients find the app? And so this is one of the ways that we thought about using trademarks and the app logo to set us apart and help customers find the app. Obviously, the more important aspect is with respect to once patients log in, when they feel unwell. And so we talked about the patient flow inside the app and how to guide the patient through different sets of questions using different algorithms to ensure that the patient can move on to the next stage in the app and get to diagnosis. One of the ways that we talked about a lock-in effect with respect to the network is in terms of having this comparison to global data in the app, and this is something that will come up again in question 3, but providing additional information to patients beyond just the reason why they might have come to the app in the first place. We talked also about accessing different doctors. What is the network of doctors that works with Ping An? And so part of that would be in a database and could be a trade secret in terms of who the different providers are. And again, the method to match the patient depending on their symptoms, what they're looking for, their preferences, and their location with particular doctors. With the idea that once you've found that best fit between the patient and the doctor in the particular situation, there would be increased switching costs. And so that creates a lock-in effect for our patient base. And then we talked also about communication with the doctor, whatever means that takes, whether it's video or chat or some other system, but making sure that we keep the patient data private, and how do we share it securely with the different participants? How do we store it securely? And so this would be one way to do that would be through patenting the system and a method to keep the data secure. Moving on to the post-diagnosis phase and how we exclusify the advantages there. We talked about we talked about receiving expertise-based advice. So how do you find particular specialists? How do you identify the particular treatment options? And so this is, again, like a way to match, and this would be protected through patented methods. How do you match the right patient to the right doctor, and specifically to the right generalist, but also the right specialists? I'll move on in the interest of time to post-treatment, the post-treatment phase. And here we have another way to have lock-in effects, which are the follow-ups that the doctor would provide, again, with the idea of securing the data, securing the messages. And then one option that we talked about was with respect to extending the process to how do you receive the medicine if you're prescribed medicine. And so having, again, a network of cooperating pharmacies or providers and having that process and that workflow of going from what the doctor prescribes in the app to contacting the right pharmacy to getting the patient details to shipping it to the patient. And the way that we would exclusify that would be, on the one hand, through trade secrets with the networks of providers and pharmacies, on the other hand, through patents with respect to the method for delivery and auto delivery. Maybe how do you figure out what the right frequency is based on the right medicine? And then also maybe the GUI for the app itself, and trademarks for the logo and the feel of the app. So with that, I'll turn it over to Melis for question 3.
Thank you. So basically, I will be talking about this patent case. And in this patent example, we see that it discloses using big data to determine any epidemic or pandemic at a very early stage. So the idea of the patent is based around capturing early warning signs of a disease and carrying out disease surveillance. So basically, this disease surveillance data can be obtained based on patient visit to hospitals, which were already in the app, or it can also be obtained from hospitals' databases. After having gathered the big data, health data is compared to threshold values to see whether there is an epidemic or pandemic happening soon. These disease monitoring data is collected in a given timeline in a certain region. Like this can also be selected as schools, institutions, or pharmacies. There is also sorting of data according to some factors such as age. After all of the data is collected, the mean and the standard deviation of disease monitoring is calculated and then compared to the threshold values to see whether there is an abnormal activity happening. Could you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So during the journey of the customer receives notifications about possible pandemic or epidemic. With such service, the patient will keep using the app on his or her phone instead of deleting the app right after getting the primary service. With that, pingAN can create a lock-in effect as well as increasing the customer loyalty since the patients will have more side benefits. And then the app will use an iterative approach to collect data more from the patients, which will yield to more accurate diagnosis of the patients. And then the inventory of medicine can be managed easier with the data from the pingAN and dispose the inventory where risks are high.